Greetings, Vault Hunters. Welcome to my first build guide. This is Bullshifter's In-Zane in the Endgame build. Obviously, a build for Zane. A lot of people claiming Zane really isn't that powerful of a Vault Hunter, that his skill trees need a little bit of work. However, I've learned that if you synergize the correct items with the correct skills, you can actually make Zane quite the powerhouse. So basically, I'm going to walk you through what my build actually consists of when it comes to the skills, the different post-game levels I've added, and my actual inventory. And then we'll go ahead and do a quick, and I do emphasize quick, GraveWard run on Mayhem 3 to kind of show exactly how this build works. So without further ado, let's go ahead and look into our skills. We are going to be using two trees. We're going to be using the Digi Clone as well as the drone. So let's go into the drone first. The skills I have equipped on him is Bad Dose, which gives radiation damage that weakens your enemies and buffs Zane, and Boomsday, which does rocket damage. Rocket damage was recently increased on the drone, so I essentially have this equipped just to kind of test that out a little bit. So the skills I've chosen here, we've maxed out Violent Speed, just for the increased movement speed, so that can work in conjunction with Violent Momentum, which we've also maxed out. Violent Momentum is going to make it so your gun damage is actually increased while you're moving, and the quicker you move, the more gun damage you do. So basically, the faster Zane is, the more movement speed you stack, the more gun damage you're going to do while you're moving. I do have an extra 2 on here. As you can see, I have 7 out of 5, and that comes from my class mod. 4 out of 5 on Cool Hand. You can put 5 out of 5 on this. I just wanted to distribute a couple of points differently throughout the build. This is essentially just increasing your reload speed after a kill. It's a kill skill. Drone Delivery, this makes it so your drone will occasionally drop a free grenade. Our grenade is actually going to help increase our damage, so that's why we have that equipped. Salvation, this is actually one of the skills I took a point away from Cool Hand in order to have. It's a kill skill, and essentially after being activated, it's going to give you some lifesteal off of your enemies. Basically just kind of a sustain type of deal, because this build bases a lot of itself off of bursting your shields, so you're at 0 shields while you're doing a bunch of this damage. Death Follows Close, this is an essential skill for Zane. Do not run a Zane build without this skill if you are using the drone tree, which you most likely will be. This gives all your kill skills increased effect and duration. Self-explanatory, awesome, essential skill. It's only a point, grab it. Violent Violence is another kill skill. After killing an enemy, you're going to gain increased fire rate. So basically the idea is we want a fast fire rate, and we want to be able to reload quickly to keep that DPS flowing. Good Misfortune, this is another kill skill. Increases your action skill duration, so it keeps, both of your Digi Clone and your drone out there to do more damage, throw out more grenades, and keep some of those bonuses flowing. See in Red, this is also an essential skill for this build. Activating an action skill automatically activates all of Zane's kill skills, so you can just keep those kill skills up constantly, giving yourself some awesome boosts, even in boss fights, such as the GraveWard, which we're going to run here shortly. This makes it so that if I use my action skill, all my kill skills are up, even though his ads aren't out yet, so I can hopefully kill him before any of his ads even touch the field. So with the Digi Clone, I am using Which One's Real, which is going to mitigate some damage. It basically makes it so your targets will target the clone as opposed to you for a few seconds. And Digital Distribution, which when you take health damage, it's actually going to take away some of it from your clone instead of directly from you. As we go up, this skill essentially increases your gun damage for each active action skill. We have this maxed out 20% per active action skill, so that's 40% total if we activate the Digi Clone and the drone at once. Here's another kill skill. Whenever you kill an enemy, your Digi Clone and you gain increased gun damage and health regen. Very awesome skill. Fractal Frags, this makes it so that your Digi Clone will throw a grenade when it's activated and when it's killed, and when you kill an enemy, it has a chance to throw one as well. It's about a 1 in 3 chance. 4 out of 5 for the Duct Tape mod. Again, I took a point out of this to distribute elsewhere. So basically the first shot you fire from your gun has a chance to fire a grenade as well. Quick Breather, this is kind of your oh crap maneuver. Oh crap, my health's getting low, got no shields, I'm about to die, what do? Quick Breather. So your Digi Clone's out there, you're super low, go ahead, hit that button again, you will swap places and your shields will immediately begin to recharge. Old You, this is your second oh crap move. So say your Digi Clone is out, you're in fight for your life mode, and there's no enemies nearby you to actually kill. Instead of dying, hit that button again, Destroy your Digi Clone and come back with an automatic second wind with full health. Supersonic Man, just increasing your movement speed for each active skill, action skill that's active. Again, 5 out of 3 because my class mod gives a +2 to this, so I'm getting a plus 20% movement speed for each action skill, so 40% total if both are active. Like it goes, this helps you potentially ignore bullets. This is from my class mod. I wouldn't actually assign this. It was just kind of a freebie. Boom Enhance, another great passive ability. Essentially, your Digi Clone consumes 3 of your grenades and gets increased gun damage, max health, fire rate, reload speed, and Digi Clone duration. So that rounds out our skills. Let's go ahead and look at Guardian ranks, and I'm kind of going to give you a breakdown on what the best ones to grab for this build are. In the Enforcer tree, which is the tree you're going to want to focus on the most, grab critical damage, gun damage, and gunfire rate. Once you've gotten those high enough, because there are diminishing returns on these, the more of them you grab, the smaller percentage you're going to gain from each one. After 10%, it really starts to slow down. You can grab some grenade damage also. Even though you're not going to be throwing grenades, you will potentially have the chance to shoot them out. Your drone can drop them, and your Digiclone can drop them. So you can find some benefit in there, but for the most part, focus on crit damage, and gunfire rate. For the Survivor tree, this is the one I would focus on the least. I have shield recharge delay simply because of when that option came up. All of the other redeem options were terrible, but I would actually prefer to have that as a 0. The ones you want to focus on once you get to the Survivor tree are going to be Fight for Your Life duration and max health. You can add shield capacity and then shield recharge rate in that order, but I would do max health first and Fight for Your Life duration as like a 1B. Those are the 2 most important, and then move down from there. Hunter, this is probably the second most important tree behind Enforcer. The reason for that is you want action skill cooldown, simply so you have, quicker spawns for your drone and for your Digiclone. Luck, so you have more of an opportunity to hopefully grab those legendary items. Accuracy and recoil, I wouldn't even touch. They don't really matter for this build. Reload speed would be the next big one. So let's go ahead and check out items. My shield, I'm using the Roid Ward. This actually came from the ward that we're going to be fighting here, the boss. So the big thing here, really super high capacity. Recharge delay is actually kind of high, which is good because we want to break our shields. It's going to help us do more damage. And the recharge rate is pretty high. So you get in that oh crap moment, swap places with your Digiclone, and it's going to start recharging that much quicker. So you're going to have a lot of sustainability because of that. Now, as I mentioned, we're going to want to break our shields, and this is why. 25% weapon damage when shield is depleted, as well as 2% max health per second while shields are active, and double that when they're depleted. So essentially, when our shields are depleted, we're getting a big damage boost, and this isn't the only item that's boosting that. So here, I've already mentioned the points that I'm getting for my class mod. The benefit of this, however, is when Zane activates an action skill, he breaks his shield. So basically, we pop our action skills, our shields are broken. Not only are we getting all of our kill skills, but we're also getting bonus damage from breaking our shield. Shotgun damage is kind of nice. We do have a couple of shotguns equipped on this build. COV weapon damage is kind of whatever, doesn't really matter, and there's damage reduction as well. It's Piss. This is actually the only item I have here that is a boss specific that does not come from the GraveWard. It comes from Sloth and Shunk or something like that. It's a Goonies reference, hence the "Hey you guys" caption. The big reason we want this, the damage and the radius are okay, but damaged enemies take an additional 20% increased damage for 6 seconds. So this is why we actually want our clone and our drone dropping grenades, so that way we can hopefully keep that 20% increased damage going for as long as we can. This is also really great for group play because it extinguishes status effects applied to allies. Lastly is our legendary artifact, which I'm using Grave. It gives increased weapon damage and increased splash damage, also melee, but we don't really care about melee. We're getting extra max health and action skill cooldown rate. While our health is low, below 20% and below 5%, we gain increased weapon damage and increased splash damage, respectively. So this can be useful because of one of the weapons we have, which I'll get in here shortly. Speedload and Hellwalker, this is my incendiary weapon. I think it's useful to always have either one of these or some type of corrosive weapon, just because they do a decent amount of damage, especially here to flesh enemies. Just a super solid shotgun. A lot of people talk about the shotgun. It's really good, has really solid damage, pretty good fire rate for a shotgun. Overall, just solid. I don't use it a whole lot for this build, but it's just kind of my temporary fourth weapon. The Vicious Lyuda, this is the main weapon we're using for this build. Awesome damage, insane fire rate for a sniper rifle, and plus 40% critical hit damage. This thing hits like a sniper rifle and shoots like an SMG. It is awesome. It is my favorite gun in the game. You can get it as a random world drop, or you can complete all of Zero's assassination quest at level 50. You should do that. Do not do it before, and you'll get this weapon rewarded to you. Cocky Flacker, this is a really great short mid-range weapon, not too short because then you're going to be stepping into your splash damage and potentially killing yourself, but super high damage. Fire rate's not all that great, but that splash damage is pretty awesome. This gun does do a lot of damage, and it can actually be useful because of the fact that sometimes you'll want to give yourself slight damage, because you can potentially break your shields when your shields are low and starting to recharge after just using an action skill, so you can get that damage boost right back when you're up close and trying to deal a lot of damage. And if you're low health, you can potentially do the same thing with what we have going for our legendary artifact to gain more weapon damage and more splash damage if your shields are broken. Be careful with that, because you don't want to go into last stand unless you have your Digi Clone out and/or there's enemies near that you know you can finish off. Lastly is the Arctic Dauntless Nighthawken. This is a Stranger Things reference. Great show, great weapon. Pretty solid damage for an SMG. Fire rate's pretty good. Gives increased critical hit damage and has cryo efficiency, so it slows your enemies down. Basically, when I'm using this is when I get a GraveWard run on Mayhem 3 that has bad modifiers for normal damage, but increased, cryo damage or increased SMGs and like down on assault rifles and snipers. This weapon comes in handy. So this is kind of my offset of the Vicious Lyuda. So that's the build in a nutshell. Let's go ahead and fight the GraveWard, and I'll show you exactly how this is used. So immediately, pop our drone, pop our Digi Clone, fire away at that double crit spot right there. One thing we want to avoid here are these stupid green bouncing boogers. They do a ton of damage, they shoot you up in the air, they suck, they're terrible. So we've already got him down to about half health. He's going to float down here. We equip our flacker, try and step into a few of these shots. Be a little careful. So we've already got him down to about a third of his health left. So at this point, both of our skills are down. He's going to do this little sliding maneuver. If you need to get out of this, just jump a couple times. We're just going to duck down here, avoid those boogers. We have him really close to finished off here. He's going to hit us with this burst of damage. We're going to pop our Digi Clone, get some of that extra damage in. Right now we're at low health, no shields, should have a really nice benefit to our damage output. We're going to finish him off right here. And that's it. GraveWard down. That's the build in a nutshell. So there are other builds for other Vault Hunters that can take the GraveWard down quicker. I'm sure there are some items that are a bit more beneficial too. We got kind of unlucky there and didn't get a legendary drop. But for the most part, I mean, this is actually really solid damage output and survivability for Zane, and essentially that's the build. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did like it and you do like this build, who maybe don't see the full appeal in Zane because he's an awesome character and a lot of fun to play, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that already, and as always, I really appreciate you watching. So thanks for stopping by my channel. Again, super appreciated, and until next time, may the RNG be with you, my friends. Always.